Hello, weirdos. My name is Rollen, and welcome back to Brain Mucus. This is the third episode of the horror of mental health, where my guest and I discuss a movie of their choosing. The goal is not to judge or review the movie based on whether it's good or bad. It's to explore the significance of it regarding mental health in the life of my guest. And today, my special guest is Selis of Sweet and Spooky. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm good. How are you doing?
But do we know we got a little bit of coffee here this evening? Yes.
Love that.
Totally not a bad choice, I'm sure. Anyway. So, for anybody who doesn't know who you are, could you please explain?
My name is Selis. Also known as Sweet and Spooky here on YouTube. And I have a channel where I review horror movies. I do top 10 lists. Recently, I've kind of revamped my channel and I'm trying to do like a more bimbo Elvira situation. I have a headless butler. It's a fun time over on my channel.
I was seeing a little bit of that and I was like, now we need to watch this. What's going on here?
Oh, yeah. It's my new thing now. Oh my god, did you freeze? No. Oh my god. Dice froze.
Yeah, that'll happen. It's a little windy around here, so that's real fun. Anyway, sorry. That'll happen. Anybody who's accustomed to this, you know.
Yeah, I know.
It's just the forces. They're trying to silence me again. Anyway, so let's see. Could you perhaps tell everybody the movie that you chose to discuss?
I chose Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan.
Yeah. And just like I was telling Selis backstage, yesterday was the first time that I had watched this movie. I've been meaning to for fucking years, but this was the first time that I watched it, so...
I can't believe it.
I know, I'm so sorry.
13 years later, you did it.
Yes, 13 years. That's probably one of the shortest time frames for watching a movie for the first time. Oh, so sad. Oh.
I love that.
Hello, Dee. Welcome.
Hi, Dee.
Yes. Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah. It's a very, how should we say, ripe film for discussion of mental health.
It is. It's a lot.
Even my brother, I didn't know that he was even aware of this movie. And I mentioned it yesterday that I'd just seen it, and he's like, "Oh, that's a weird one." I'm like, "No."
Well, it is. It's an interesting movie. Definitely not for everyone, probably, but definitely my cup of tea.
I kind of figure we'll talk about it. I get it.
Yeah.
So, before we get into that, you've introduced yourself, but I have a very important question for you, since we are discussing horror. What got you into horror, or how did you get into horror, and how long have you been a fan of horror?
Wow. Okay, that's a loaded question. Okay, so what got me into horror? Okay, so I got into horror by accident. I've told this story a few times. I'll tell like a little short version of it. So when I was a little baby, I was obsessed with Rugrats, and Chucky like had his own movie at some point or something like that. Or he was like the main star of one of the movies. I don't remember, but basically he was my favorite character. And I told my aunt, I want the Rugrats, like the Chucky movie. Like, can you get it for me for my birthday? And she got me Child's Play. And I didn't know it was Child's Play. And I watched it one day when my mom was at work and I was just like at home with my brother. And it was literally like a VHS tape. So I didn't even like, I put it in and then I got so scared. I just like didn't want to go take it out. So the whole movie was playing and I was like terrified and like hiding under blankets.
Yeah, I would consider that, accidentally. Wow.
The whole time I was just like, this is a really long commercial. When is the Rugrats coming on? Like, yeah, so that was my intro to horror, if you will. But getting into the genre, I would say it started in like 7th grade, and I was in my little emo scene girly phase, and I like thought I was so cool and different. So I started watching like PG-13 horror movies. Like I think one of the first ones I went to see in the theater was the Prom Night remake. And then around like 8th grade, I was like, I'm done with PG-13. I'm watching crazy shit. And I decided to watch like a bunch of like foreign disturbing movies, like Audition and stuff like that. Yeah. And then like that's around the time I really got into it. Long story. Yeah.
No, better than mine. I don't even remember where the fuck. I don't know. Halloween. I blame Halloween the season. That's how I did that. But
yeah,
I guess there would be some sort of discrepancy between like Rugrats and Chucky. I can kind of see some correlation, but
crazy. Like I think my aunt says now that she just went into the store and was like, "Oh, my niece wants the Chucky movie." And I guess they were like, "Oh, it's child's play."
Well, the obvious choice is.
With the fact that she saw the cover and like didn't question it.
Well,
not the brightest, I fear.
You know, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say a damn thing. Touche. I think so far, I think you win as far as how you got to horror. Those
quite the story. Thank you. I was scared of Chucky for a really long time. I didn't get over that until I was like in 10th grade or something. It was crazy. But yeah, oh my god, no, dice froze again. The charms of streaming.
Yes, isn't it fun?
It is.
Anyway. Yeah, if I ever freeze or anything like that, just keep going. I'll be back. Just keep going. I swear, unless something.
I love it. It's part of the charm.
Yeah. Hey, y'all should be lucky. I'm streaming in a rural area. Okay. Be grateful. Anyway, so next question would be, what are the mental illnesses, disorders that you think are represented in Black Swan?
Wow, loaded question.
I'm sure there's quite a few things.
Yeah, I guess like one of her main like symptoms is like hallucinations.
Yeah.
I don't really know what mental illness specifically.
I mean, whatever you take from it, really. It doesn't have to be accurate.
I think it just has a lot to do with like childhood trauma. So maybe there's a lot of I don't know. There's a lot of depression, I would say, in her life. Yeah. I don't know what specifically. What did you think? I'm curious.
Oh god. I was just over here making a list. Like, yep.
Oh, that's amazing.
Well, at least a mental list. So you know,
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure. Just maybe not everything could be classified solely as an illness or a disorder, but like controlling toxic mother.
Yeah. Oh, she's a narcissist for sure.
Oh yeah.
Narcissist.
Oh,
yeah.
As soon as that, I don't know how you felt about this, but the scene where she has the cake, she gets a cake, and at that moment where she just snaps and she's like, "Well, it's trash then," and goes to get rid of it, I'm like, "Oh, that's familiar."
Yeah.
Wow.
For me as well. Yeah. Rough.
Yeah, that's immediately. I'm like, cake. Got
Narcissist it. Check.
Yes, that, and just the passive aggressiveness from her.
Yeah,
I fucking hate that. Oh
yeah, she definitely has like a lot of mood swings.
Yeah, and there were, I'm sure, maybe a few times where she didn't outright say it, but essentially heavily implied, I gave up my career. I could have been great for you. You're the reason that my career didn't happen.
Yes, I'm familiar with this.
Yeah. Sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
Oh.
Aside from that, and that's just her mother, holy. Aside from that, I think also striving for perfection. I know that's not exactly an illness or a disorder, but it could be associated with some. But striving for perfection always just makes me feel very on edge because I know
For
you can't do that.
sure. I also feel like Nina had a lot of like OCD tendencies as well.
Yeah.
Like just the way that she would like set up her like vanity when she's about to go on stage, like lipstick here, this here, like everything is placed so perfectly, and it's like,
Yeah.
let's calm down.
Easy now, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can see that too. Definitely. What else? There's a lot, I'm sure, that many different people can read into it, which is not a bad thing. I think that adds to the movie.
Yeah. I don't want to like say it because it's not specifically told in the movie, but I feel like with her hallucinations and such, like my takeaway was like some sort of like paranoid, like schizophrenia.
Yeah.
'Cause it was,
Paranoia especially, yeah.
yeah, it was like a lot
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. And of course, I'm not educated in all that much, so take it with a grain of salt. But
Yeah, same.
we are just theorizing. It's all up for interpretation, of course.
Yes, of course. I mean, specifically, this movie is so open to interpretation as well.
Yeah, they really, the audience kind of figure out, especially with Dina's hallucinations, like what is actually happening.
Yeah, like even the end, you're kind of like, so was that in her head or did that really happen?
Yeah, is she dead or?
Yeah,
I mean, it's obviously heavily implied one way or the other, but do we know for sure? Yes, lots of options for how that could work.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but how does all that, whatever you're comfortable with saying, how does all that relate to you?
So it's funny because I saw this film when it came out. So I went to the theater to see it. This was like 2010. I was really young. So I guess like while watching this movie, it was making me very, very anxious. And I guess I just like wasn't ready to come to terms with a lot of things. But it was like one of the first movies where I was like, oh my God, why does this feel so much like my home life? Like this is very weird for me. And it wasn't until like I got older that I rewatched it again, and it just like made me very emotional. And I was like, oh, okay, there's a lot here. Yeah, so I think a lot of the time movies specifically that depict mother-daughter relationships very much affect me. And this one of the mom being like this controlling, narcissistic, like very abusive person, I have personal connection with. And also there's a lot in the movie too that I connected to outside of that, like just like feeling really small and having the need to like prove yourself and not ever really experiencing like sexual things and coming to terms with like your sexuality and like sexual awakening and things. And when you're in like an environment with a mother like that, it is very hard to have those experiences.
Yeah,
So
you don't get so much freedom.
yeah, you don't. So it's just like it's crazy. I went to see it and I was feeling so many things, and then like I was feeling so many things emotionally, and then they of course had to do like the Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman like hooking up, and I wasn't like even aware of my sexuality at the time. And I watched that scene and I was like, I'm feeling a lot of things. I don't know. This is good. Like, oh no, like what is like my parents gonna think of me kind of thing. And now I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gay. But like, you know, I don't know. All those things kind of hit for me.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see that. I know a lot of people, whenever they mention the Black Swan, I think there were a couple of different times, probably when it came out initially, maybe. My time frame is skewed, whatever. That people were like, I watched this with my parents. That was a mistake.
I unfortunately
Whoops.
saw it with my stepdad at the time.
It was an awkward ride. How?
It was so weird. It was
Whoops.
not good. Like, it was really awkward to say the least. Like, everything was fine until we got to the Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman stuff, and I was like, okay. Oh god. So yeah, that was a lot.
Just go to the bathroom real quick, okay?
And it's like so funny because you can tell like when you're like your parent is like very uncomfortable as well. Like he was so uncomfortable too. It was awful.
Do we leave or
should we get out of here?
Hey, why don't you go get some more popcorn? What do you mean? We have get more popcorn. No, that was. I'm sure that's fun. Thankfully, I have it in my collection, so I just watched that on my own. I think it's fucking hilarious now because when it comes to horror, I'll kind of preview horror movies before I'm like, hey guys, let's watch this. I just think it's also fun, so I can be like, all right, that scene's coming up. All right. It's very common for me to make my family uncomfortable. Maybe not for that reason, but with other horror movies.
That is so funny.
They expect it now. They're like, oh, what is this? Art, come with me. Yes, I'm afraid that will happen. You know. I'm sure you know. You haven't seen it. Well, that's fair, Andy. I appreciate you stopping by. I hadn't seen either till yesterday. So, we gotta be educated on what we're talking about.
It's on Hulu.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I just had the DVD, so I was like, yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
That is a question that I've gotten a couple of times. Allow me to explain. I am not monetized yet, so I can't get super chats yet. We're getting close. We're like 1,000 more hours of watch time, and I would qualify, I believe. But if you really want to try to support the channel, the podcast, I do have my Patreon. That is one way. You know, it's a monthly thing as low as $1. You don't have to stick around for more than 1 month if you don't want to, but that's the way that I have. And also, theoretically speaking, with Patreon, as creators, you get more than through YouTube. It's weird. So whatever you would like to do, just watching, liking, commenting, that helps. So YouTube is a joy. Anyway.
It is, isn't it?
Probably best not to besmirch our overlords while live. Susan's not there anymore, but someone else is. So, okay. So you actually covered a bit of this other question that I had. So I guess I'll kind of cover that on my end, which is the experience of first watching it. So you mentioned it, like I said. When I first watched it, I had the vague idea of I just wasn't sure about some of the details, which is good. I don't like to go into anything knowing everything about it. Kind of spoils the fun, I think. I thought it was quite interesting to watch. It seems, how should I phrase this? It feels like a very feminine movie.
For sure.
And that's not a bad thing at all, of course. Just a very female-centric film. And I think it covered a lot of maybe the struggles of especially female ballerinas in that sort of world and what they got to go through. So, very intriguing. I was also reminded of why when I was younger and I thought, hey, maybe I could do ballet. I quickly went, no, I can't. No, the fuck I can't. Thanks for the reminder. So
Yeah.
that was fun. I also liked to see this like meek and subdued woman and that flip with the black swan element. I think she
Yeah.
did that very well.
We just love feminine rage.
Yes. Be afraid. It comes in many forms, sometimes with a tutu. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So, my next question here is on the subject of horror movies. What are some horror movies you avoid?
I avoid.
Yeah.
I would say I'm pretty like good about a lot. I feel like I'm like desensitized to a lot at this point.
Same.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I'm like, I wonder if I'm okay in there. But I think specifically like the only kind of horror films I avoid are like ones that depict SA but like in a really disgusting way
Yeah,
where
like
it's
fetishizing it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just shown, and specifically those movies that are directed by men because it tends to be those.
Yeah, the disconnect, shall we say. Not always the case, but
True.
frequently, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Frequently, yes, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's actually a pretty I don't want to say popular, we'll say common. A pretty common response to that question, and I'm not surprised at all because I don't actively go for those movies myself, horror or not. But I completely understand people who really don't want to see them, and then people who do as like a therapeutic kind of thing. That also makes sense.
That does make
So,
sense, yeah.
totally understand that.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm doing well.
Hi.
We're discussing some childhood trauma and ballet.
Makes
Welcome.
sense together.
In a way, honestly, it's almost speaking of, it's almost I feel like especially with kids or those who grew up doing ballet, it seems in some cases vaguely like child pageants. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. Now I'm gonna piss off all of the ballet guys. So
Those are weird. I don't know.
just because that is a subject for a completely different kind of trauma right there. That
For sure.
Now let's see. 1 minute. A segment for everybody who might have questions for Selis or the movie. Whatever you would like, you can go ahead and leave your questions in the chat, and we shall discuss.
Yes.
Yay. So, avoid Carrie, couldn't finish, too traumatic. Fair enough. I could see that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's
I get
another
that
one. Yeah, that's another one with a lot of mom issues.
Yeah, for sure. And also like religious trauma and things. Yeah.
Yep. And bullying, even, I would say. That's one I'm sure at some point in the future someone will want to talk about.
I think so. Probably.
Oh, yeah. That seems like a go-to for like mental health and trauma and stuff like that.
Yeah. Actually, wait, I have a question for you.
Ooh. The tables have turned. Yes.
So since you watched Black Swan for the first time, I'm curious if you had like a favorite scene or anything that kind of like spoke to you.
Let's see. Well, I mean, this isn't necessarily a favorite, but I did mention the cake scene. That, again, not a favorite, but like someone clicked there a little bit, and I was like, that's familiar.
Yes.
What else? I kind of, I guess, in a way, liked with that scene where she thinks that she brings Mila Kunis home, and essentially gets the chance to say, I'm not 12 anymore. Okay, fuck off.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah.
So that, the whole climax, in a way, through the whole ballet performance, I thought was very beautiful. It's a very beautiful portrayal, with all the different CGI techniques, practical, all that they used.
How
brought that all
cool is
together.
that?
Yeah, I didn't even realize that was not Natalie Portman who was dancing. At least the Black Swan portion, I didn't know that.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
very good with special effects. Yes.
Yes, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much in the movie that's just like. Also, I guess I forgot to mention another reason why like it speaks to me as well is because I went to an acting conservatory. And I actually, like, in my conservatory, there was like 3 different things to study. So there was just like acting for film, and theater, and then there was musical theater, and then there was dance. So I went to school with a lot of ballerinas, but also like those types of environments are so abusive. Like a lot of what Toma was like doing, not saying that I had that kind of experience, but a lot of what he was doing and saying and like demeaning these girls and like kind of sexualizing them happens a lot more often than you
I kind of
think.
thought so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed very real.
Yeah, and it's just like that mentality of like blood, sweat, and tears, like every day. So, and not to mention, like this takes place in New York City, and I'm born and raised New York. And like where she gets off for like the ballet place is the same stop that I used to get off for school. So it's just like, okay, we're really coming for my life here.
Flashbacks.
But I was never a ballerina, thank God for that.
Yeah, no, that's, yeah, like I said earlier, sorry.
They went through it.
Much respect to those who do that, and they're very passionate about it. I think that's brilliant. It's beautiful to watch, really.
Truly.
But the whole progression of going through, no. Sorry.
It's a lie, yeah. My feet are not made for that, that's for sure.
No, my whole structure is not made for that. Can't do that. I got like Viking ancestors who are going, that's nuts. Nope. A grapefruit for breakfast? Sorry. We're gonna need a little bit more than that.
That was crazy. A grapefruit and like a poached egg.
Yeah. I didn't even see the egg. I was just like, grapefruit?
I hate grapefruit, first of all, so that honestly made me gag.
I like grapefruit, but it can't be the meal.
No, yeah.
That's too much acidity, my friend, for one.
Truly.
Grapefruit juice, fine. Grapefruit juice with coffee, eggs, yogurt. Okay, cool.
No. Just a grapefruit.
Can't do that. I'm sorry. That trauma by itself. Oh.
It is, yeah. Oh my god.
No, while we wait for some questions, perhaps from the audience, as well. Another question: who would be a comfort character or characters, perhaps even characters that you relate to most? Doesn't have to be horror, but
comfort characters that I relate to. I feel like I'm gonna sound so crazy. I think I would say recently one I can think of that's kind of new to the horror genre would be Sam Carpenter in the new Scream movies. Comfort. I'm trying to think. That's a really good question. Have you seen Hatching?
No, I have not. That's one on my to.
I would say Tina from Hatching is one for sure. I'm currently rewatching Degrassi,
That I'm afraid I missed that.
So one I would say from Degrassi would probably have to be Emma. She's definitely a big comfort character for me for sure. Yeah, I think that's the main ones I can think of right now.
I mean, I've been asked that maybe a couple of times, and I'm like, oh shit.
It's so hard to think of on the
Yeah.
spot. Yeah.
Well, you would. I've found this is not a character per se, but I guess it's multiple characters under like one person. I found that Robin Williams is like a comfort actor for me, so there's a lot of characters.
A lot of comfort actors, that's for sure. Yeah.
So it's like a slightly different category.
Yeah. Keanu Reeves is like one of my top comfort actors.
I can see that. I don't think that's a bad choice at all.
Like instant serotonin. Like
perfect.
I love him. Yeah. Can do no wrong.
Yeah, clearly, I don't think he's physically capable of doing anything wrong.
Truly.
Even like Tom Hanks.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Tom Hanks. Yeah, for sure. It's also, I guess, he kind of has that like factor of like being around since you're a child, so it almost feels like, wow, I grew up watching this person.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, for a while there, Big was a movie that I watched just on repeat. Oh. It was like a fixation for a while for me.
I love that.
Just a fun movie. Maybe a little concerning now, but for a different reason. Anyway, that's it. Oh, we saw that too late. Tend to avoid revenge films because more often than not, they depict SA and try to justify it with a revenge narrative. It does not. I believe that is something you had mentioned during our last stream, and I agree. I agree with that. That's fair. Most often, yeah, it is just, well, there's persons getting revenge now. Yeah. But they wouldn't have to if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Aha. Well, I would recommend it. I think you might like it. I know that your taste and my taste vary a little bit. It's fine, but you might like it. It's a psychological kind of thing. A little body horror, even.
Love that. One of my favorite subgenres.
Bonjour, Adrian. Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
Good afternoon, morning, whatever it may be.
So funny that like one of my favorite subgenres is body horror, and I feel like there's a lot of people, to go back to that question you asked, there's a lot of people that's like something they avoid.
Yeah, no, that's another one. Yeah, that I guess people just don't like to see that, and I'm sure there's a lot of different reasons why. Someone, forget his name. I want to say Mick Garris, but I could be wrong. So forgive me. But there was some sort of interview where he was involved. I think one of the In Search of Darkness documentaries, perhaps. Fabulous, by the way. Where he was talking about body horror and how, you know, the younger generation might like to watch that because it's gross and it's visceral and it's like, ooh, look at that. But maybe an older generation or people with a different viewpoint might be like, yeah, I don't want to see the human body rent asunder. That's not
right.
That's maybe not a good thing. Not so fun. So it makes sense. Me personally, I don't like the like worldy ending kind of shit. I've gotten a bit better with that, but that correlates a bit with like zombies. Used to have a huge issue with zombies, but again, we've gotten better with that. Still don't like world-ending shit.
It is scary that, yeah.
That's not exactly fun. Thanks. I think I'll skip it.
It's not. Yeah. That one I get, because it's like, it could feel a little too realistic, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, especially like, I remember when 2012, the movie was coming out. I think if I remember correctly, world-ending thing. I forget who the fuck was in it. Clearly meant a lot. Never watched it. Still haven't watched it. Just didn't like the commercials for it because I was constantly being reminded of that. Going, thanks so much. What's that? The ocean is literally coming up to swallow everybody? Cool. No thanks. You can't tell me there's a happy ending to this.
Right.
I don't see that happening. Even some of the zombie films have happy endings. Come on.
Oh my god.
Okay, that's it. What would you like to say to anybody who is listening who may be dealing with similar issues as portrayed in Black Swan?
Oh wow. I don't even know. Where would I begin? It's loaded. Like advice?
Yeah, well, anything really. Advice, just a comforting comment, whatever you like.
I would say be the bad bitch you know you are.
Yes, don't let anybody stop you.
Literally. And don't let your mom ruin your life if she's a narcissistic, abusive parent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's all I would say. Also, don't strive for perfection. Maybe at least not this intensely really not good for your mental health, as you can see with where Nina ends up at the end of this film.
No. Yeah, not a good option. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I think that the last one especially, yes. I always put it this way, which is perfection doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
Okay, the best that you can do, yeah, sure. I mean, don't sacrifice fucking everything to be what someone else or yourself would perceive as perfect.
Right. Like, if you're doing the thing you love, you're doing it because you love it, right? And there's always room for improvement. But, like, the whole point is that you're supposed to have fun with it.
Yeah.
So.
You're supposed to enjoy things.
Yeah.
I think we've all had enough of doing stuff and forcing yourself to do stuff just because you have to. Let's enjoy things. That's a concept. Yes.
Yes. Please enjoy your hobbies and your passions.
Yeah, even if you suck at what you've been dedicating so much time and effort to, that doesn't mean you're worthless. It's fine.
Right. That's
Try
so
something
true.
else. It's okay. Everybody's good at least one thing. It's all right.
So true.
Just takes a while to find it. It's okay. Some of us like to be absolute dorks in front of a camera. Hi.
Hi.
So, it's not for everybody. It's fine. Sticking things under people's nails just bothers me. Fair. Or than yanking out their intestines.
Yeah. There was a lot of nail stuff in this film.
Yeah. And the fucking hangnail thing where she pulls it all the way up.
Oh my god. That scene always like destroys me.
I was seeing that, and as soon as she peeled it up, I went, oh fuck.
Yeah, oh my god, so disgusting.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like mirrors scared me after this movie when I first watched it. I was like, I don't want to look in the mirror for so long. Like, it's scary. Yeah, like I don't know. That shit was scary.
Agreed. And I'm sure that was the whole point of why they were doing that. I'm sure.
Yeah.
And that was Skylar.
Hi.
I need to discuss things with you. I mean that in the good way. I need to discuss things with you because I know you want to be on an episode of this as well. So wherever you would be able, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, let's talk. Because I don't think your account specifically. So send me a DM, darling.
I can't wait to see everyone's choices moving forward.
Yeah, that's another fun element of this, I think, is there's so many out there, some that I probably wouldn't even consider, and then someone will bring something new to it, so.
Yeah.
Some fun stuff. Also, just as an FYI for Skylar, anybody else. You don't have to be on camera. It's just your voice that I need. So, just for reference, of course.
Love that.
Hey, it's all for the podcast, darling. All for the podcast. This is just fun. The fun.
Yes.
And of course, for anybody to ask questions. That's something I don't see, or let me rephrase that. Something I hear a lot in podcasts is the audience interaction.
Right.
So they are. Can't stay, you're working, okay. Thank you for stopping in. And yes, you can always watch the replay. Appreciate you, of course.
You should. We have good things to say.
Yes. So a lot of things
Please listen to us talk.
Please, for the love of God. Okay. Oh, see, that's why I couldn't find you.
Respect. Zero social media. Yeah. Respect to that, honestly.
Even if you just want to send like a Gmail, because I have my Gmail in my about, so whatever works, whatever's easiest. I can't blame you for not having many social media accounts, especially Twitter. Anyway. Yeah, see, there you go. Just send an email. That's fine. Especially the Gmail that I keep specifically for this.
Business inquiries only.
Yeah. For the business, though. Yes, the old school. At least it's not AOL. Of course, I think AOL is dead at this point, isn't it?
I wonder if wait, out of all the guests you've had as of now, have I had the most depressing choice?
You know, I think that's up for debate, to be quite honest.
Oh, okay.
I guess yours could potentially be the one that more directly mentions depression.
Yeah.
So if that counts. Of course, to be fair, we're very, very early on in this lovely series so far. This is only the 3rd episode. And see, I got real fucking excited with the concept of getting this started. So I booked like 3 people all at once. And I went, wait, if I'm doing this monthly, that means we're 3 months ahead. Let's slow up a bit. Let's pull back a little bit. So if you would like, you can have that title, yes. So far.
Yes. I would love that title.
Yes. A little star to put up on the wall. Yes.
What most am depressing. I without my depression?
I've heard that people reference those without depression as mentally stable. I've never experienced that.
What is that like?
Yeah. For all you neurotypicals out there, what's that like?
I'm so jealous of you, you know, like I'm so used to just like my back hurting from all the shit I'm carrying. I don't know what it's like to be mentally stable. I mean, obviously, like this movie is the one to connect with me. That says a lot about my personality, I think.
I'm sure it gives like a little bit of insight without being so invasive. I guess that's another element of this whole idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's more depressing necessarily. I think it's just more open about the fact that it is depressing, if that makes sense. That's fair, Sky. That's kind of what I was trying to say, but you articulated it way better.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, that's so true.
All right, well, while we're just poking about here, once again, if anybody has questions, now is the time, darling.
Ask me questions about Black Swan.
Yes. Or really...
Or anything.
Anything regarding, like, mental health, what Selis has going on.
For sure.
You know?
I'm pretty open. I'm here talking about my abusive mother.
Yeah. How very Disney. It's not a stepmother, but you know what? That's close enough.
Honestly. Oh my god, that's funny that you said that. Because I just had like a flashback. You know what's so funny? I think when I was little, I used to watch Cinderella and get like anxiety. Like I would feel like I would feel so seen. This is a
That also
lot.
makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. Ugh,
There's a lot
gosh.
of mental issues in Disney too. So
For sure. Yeah.
I had
I
rewatched
also
this growing up. Shit.
Yeah. Oh my god. There's just so much like there's so much mommy issue content that I guess I never really realized until now.
There's I feel like another reason to start this series. There's a lot that a lot of different people can read into pretty much everything. I'm
Yeah.
almost certain that if I gave everybody the chance, someone would come forward and say that Spookies, the horror movie Spookies, had something to do with mental health. And now
Really?
I'm thinking about it, it probably does. Toxic relationships, number one. Anyway,
Hmm.
for anybody who hasn't seen that movie, I'm sure you're going, what?
Yeah.
Look it up, have a watch. It's
I think
weird
I've
as fuck.
seen that one.
It's a goofy one, definitely. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's kind of entertaining to watch. Let me see. How can we summarize that? Big old abandoned. Wow. Let me restart. Big old abandoned mansion. Thank you, brain. Cemetery in the front yard. You know, your random friend group looking to party goes there, and naturally they get into the shit. Demonic possession, I guess, is kind of an element. This weird guy who's dead, but not exactly, with the wife that he wants to bring back to life.
I have seen this.
Yeah, it's really difficult to try to summarize.
Very strange movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
very. And I was watching the documentary of it, and wow, there was a lot that went on, and there's a reason why it looks so convoluted story wise. It was chopped to fuck, apparently. So
Oh yeah, I've read that as well.
yeah, I wonder what it would be if it hadn't been mutilated.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Have either of us seen Perfect Blue? It's basically the inspiration for Black Swan. Some say BS rip off of. Oh, BS ripped it off. Excuse me. Meaning Black Swan. Got it. I have not seen it. I've heard of it. I'm going to see it at some point.
I have seen it. I did a review of it. I think last year or the year before. Yeah, I definitely see there's definitely lots of inspiration from it. I think it's it's kind of funny because like Darren Aronofsky basically was like, no, like I didn't take any inspiration from that. And it's kind of like there's no way.
Are you
Like,
sure?
there's no way because there is like a lot of similarities. There's also a lot of like shots that are like almost the same. So unless it's like a crazy coincidence, like I can't imagine. But they are like basically about the kind of the same thing, except Perfect Blue is about this girl who's like an idol and she's in like a K I don't know if it's K-pop or she's in like a group. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. I would say they definitely both spoke to me, but I guess Black Swan just kind of like hit for me a little harder just for like the mother and daughter relationship.
Fair enough. I
Yeah.
know. I watched the behind the scenes, like making of, if you will, and I know that Aronofsky did mention that I forget which book he had read, but there was a book. If anybody knows, please tell me. A book he read where essentially there was this guy and he meets his twin, and his twin kind of slowly takes over his life, doppelganger, whatever it is.
Oh, cool.
And then not long after that, he actually went to see the Swan Lake performance where he was, and he learned that the same performer will play the white and black swan, and that's where he got the idea of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
What an artiste.
The creativity.
I didn't even know that. That's so cool. I have to watch the behind the scenes stuff.
That's just
Is
something
that
I
on the
do
DVD?
automatically. Yes, that's on the DVD that I have. I think it's a pretty standard version of it, so I
Okay.
imagine it's readily available.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
but
want to watch
it's part
that.
of the whole making of and interviews that they did with everybody. So it's kind of
Yeah.
intriguing. He sounds like a very interesting guy, very chill.
Yeah. Yeah. And he makes like the most depressing movies. I'm like,
I
are you
think that
okay?
really, yeah, that says a lot, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
We love a director with depression.
Truly.
What director? All right, well, with the exception of a few, I'm sure Peter Jackson is immediately coming to mind. What horror director doesn't have something, something going on?
It's very true. I don't think I know any.
And I could even be wrong about Peter Jackson, so we don't know. He's just a very happy individual. But anyway, hello, Nanette.
Hi.
Even the name Black Swan, Perfect Blue, yeah, related to color and whatnot.
Yeah.
This is a fair point. Yeah, I understand that. It's been years since I watched Black Swan. I'll have to rewatch. Why not? It's a good excuse.
I
You
find it to
can,
be very rewatchable.
yeah, no, there's a lot of things that I'm sure you can pick up on that you didn't see initially. I enjoy movies like that. Makes it more fun.
For sure.
I've not seen Black Swan yet, but I should see. I have it on Blu-ray. Well, excellent, excellent, Robin.
Nice.
Yes, perhaps you have even more special features than I did on my DVD. We don't know.
I have to get it. I don't own it. Which is a crime. You know, there was something I tweeted about earlier that was relevant to this.
I saw, yeah.
Yeah. So I have like a few movies that I call like my Joker that are just movies that I feel like really speak to me. And that are just like my entire personality. I actually did a video on this called like films that are my Joker, and I think I had about like 7. So if you want to know all 7 of them, you can go check out that video on my channel. Shameless plug. But again, I am gonna talk about Hatching. I won't give any spoilers because it's newer, but it's a Finnish horror film. And I just think it's so funny how like these 2 movies that I say are like my Joker have this like theme of birds. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what does that say about me? Am I a bird? Like, am I going to transform? Oh my god, when I die, like, will my soul just go into a bird and that'll be like how I live on?
Interesting. Very metaphorical and metaphysical. Well, why
I
not?
just
I've
think
already.
it's funny.
Yeah. No, I think certain people have certain affinities to like animals and stuff, so it makes sense.
Maybe
Personally,
it's
I
birds.
rather like the corvids, crows, ravens.
Oh yeah.
But maybe just because they match my off kilter personality. Who knows?
They are your aesthetic for sure.
Yeah. You see the crow,
I'm
you think,
drawn
my
to
God.
peacocks, I think.
Fair enough.
I don't know
Hey.
why. I feel like
They
they're like
have
the
no-
bad bitch of birds, you know?
That makes sense. Yeah, they're very like ostentatious kind of birds of the bird world.
They're
Yeah.
so extra, you know?
Yes, the extra birds. Fabulous. And of course, you got the albino ones, so they're pure white, who
Love
say,
them.
being a regular peacock ain't enough. Let me just go one extra.
So true.
No, I just think like crows and ravens, especially ravens, I guess. You look at those birds, and of course, obviously in horror, they're supposed to be like an omen of death or some sort of ominous thing, and then you'll look at them and they're like, what is this goofy motherfucker doing?
Also, they're like sweet, I've heard.
Yeah, no, they're very. If you're nice to them, they're typically nice to you, and they're pretty easy to like make a bond with,
I've
if you
heard
will.
that.
And I've heard a lot of different stories, and I'm like, damn, now I need to go find a raven somewhere.
Yeah, I follow somebody on TikTok that has a raven as a pet. And it's so cute. Like, it really loves its owner.
They purr in a way. It's really interesting.
They're very cute.
I can imagine that. I got a raven, and the cat's here going, the fuck?
I know. Like, at least you could probably have a raven as a pet. I don't think I could actually have a peacock as a pet.
I don't know what kind of permits you got to pull for that.
Honestly.
There's someone I know who has a pet peacock. Where do they live? New York. They got it from the zoo, didn't they?
That'd be kind of badass of me, though.
Just walking this sweet little collar leash. You know?
This is my pet peacock.
Some people have big, scary dog privileges. I have peacock privileges.
Yeah.
They can be aggressive too. So, you know.
Yes, I've heard.
Last time I watched it was in high school. It was almost 28 now. Shut up, I'm 28. Totally different headspace. Fair. Makes sense. Yeah. Hacking a balloon. Tarantulas. Okay, fair enough. I know that a lot of people like tarantulas. It's not really my thing. I mean, I don't hate them. It's not really my thing. That's all. It's multiple legs, multiple eyes kind of thing, you know, pincers. And
Yeah.
I have, however, pet a rat before. It's all right. It was domesticated.
I love rats.
This one was really funny and sweet, honestly. I think it was a female. I forget the name. Slight tangent. But there was a time where I was at it was like a craft sale almost, you know, like a handmade oddities kind of sale.
Yeah.
Because I have a little Etsy store with my family and everything, and I happen to make horror-themed wax melts. So
cute.
Yeah, I like them. And it seems like a lot of other people do too. But we were invited to this, we went there and everything, and because it was like an oddities sort of thing, there was someone walking around and they had the pet rat on their shoulder, and they came to the table and I just made a comment like, oh, that's cute, what's their name? And they took the rat off and held it like on its back. It's like, you can pet him. I'm like, this rat is so chill.
They're so cute. They're so sweet.
They're very intelligent little things from what I've heard.
They are.
They have excellent memories. Oh, they do.
Oh.
All right, that makes sense. Teach them tricks. Roll over! Probably not the same, that's all right. Oh, you mean the birds, okay. They're the smartest bird. Oh.
Oh.
Now that makes sense. I'm assuming... Okay, for clarification, do you mean like crows and ravens or peacocks or both? Because I am not sure. I know that ravens and crows are quite smart. And I've seen them like rolling down hills for fun.
Babies.
The peacocks are colorful, while they're males, and the female peacocks are very dull. That seems to be the theme with a lot of birds. It's weird. Peacocks aren't hard to get. I used to have peacocks. Really?
Is this true, or are you like pulling our chain?
Now the peacock streaming service, that's different. Wait a minute now. See, you're partial to them. Oh, gotcha. Love rats, also incredibly smart animals and can learn tricks. I have seen some of this, yes. Very old, since a lot of you are younger than me. Hey, how do you know? I could be like 500 years old and use the blood of babies or something to keep young. We don't know.
This is true.
Cats or dogs? I like cats, personally. I have nothing against dogs, though. So
I like both, but I prefer cats for sure.
I've just always been a cat person.
Yeah, me too.
Clearly, there's what I was showing this earlier, but We have a small cat. He's sleeping. He was sleeping.
He's a baby.
And of course, when I say small, I mean bowling ball with legs. So, okay, Crows and Ravens. Got it. It's now time to make Nanette feel bad. Oh, that's fine. Listen, I didn't do it. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm sorry. That's my bell ringing. It's probably like
Oh.
an Amazon delivery or something. Sorry if I hurt anyone's ears with that.
Rip headphone users.
I hope it wasn't too loud.
No,
I'm right near it, so that's yeah.
Jump scare. No, my mom, Nanette, if it makes you feel any better, my mom would probably tell you that ain't old. That's not old. Shut up.
Definitely not.
It's fine. Yeah,
It's thriving.
Yes. You know, there's a difference I have found between the old and decrepit 40 and the young and youthful 40. So, you know.
Yes.
Try to say that 10 times fast because I almost fucked up. No, real peacocks. Okay, how? Pictures that didn't happen.
Did you live on like a big land or something?
I imagine they would need a good chunk of land at least. But
that's what I would think.
What do you feed them? Also, I'm curious about that. What do you feed them? Because my automatic would be like seeds of some sort.
Yeah.
But I feel like that would also be wrong. So please educate us.
Because like at the zoo and stuff, they just walk around.
Yeah.
Well, at least here. I don't know about anywhere else.
In the it was a while ago, but last time I was at a zoo in like Colorado, yeah, there were the occasional peacock that would walk around. So I guess they're friendly enough, of course, to
they just walk around.
Be about.
Yeah. When I was little, I used to follow them around. I thought they were so pretty.
Yeah. Just don't yank the feathers. It's all right.
Yeah.
I would love to own a crow or a raven, but I have been seeing a lot of ravens in my yard. I would not, as a witch, I would not say that's a bad thing.
Oh.
So, if you hear, from what I've learned, if you hear an owl nearby, like hooting in the middle of the night, especially if it's not a usual thing, then that could, not to scare anybody, that could mean someone in the area is going to die. But ravens and crows are typically good omens, so you know.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's the owls that are typically not harbingers or harbingers, if you will, but they're kind of the alerters, perhaps, to death.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, there was when I was still living at my other house, which was in the suburbs, like near downtown kind of suburbs. I heard an owl one time in the middle of the night, very unusual for that area. And it wasn't too long after that one of our neighbors, granted, he was dealing with some terminal stuff, but not too long after he died. So it was like, okay, got it. So not always, but you know, heads up to everybody. Now that everyone is just properly tense.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah. On the topic of birds and movies, swans are one of the few animals aside from humans that mate for life. That's right. I remember hearing about that.
Aw, how cute.
Yeah. The males just wander around the farm. The females don't so much. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
That would explain why you do see the like pretty peacocks more, like in zoos and stuff.
That
female said, "I ain't going nowhere."
I don't think I've seen a female one before. I'm gonna look up what they look like, actually.
Yeah. I came in just in time because I love owls. Well, there you go. Perfect time. And I like
we were just talking about birds.
Yeah, you're just like, hey, it's Black Swan. It goes with the movies. Fuck it.
It does.
Perfect timing then. Hi, Carrie. Yes, we were just talking about owls.
Cute.
Little pygmy owls, especially. Those are. What do you do with this?
Look at this, a white one. A white peacock. It's a girl. She's so cute. What a queen.
Others could never.
So true.
If you are seeing crows or ravens, it's supposed to be you are protected. Yes, that's right. And then there's
Aw.
something about the number. I've even heard, and again, this makes sense for me, but crows and or ravens could also be an indication of a past loved one coming to say hi.
Oh, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it makes sense. Odin, Allfather, is between worlds. There's a lot of history. We'll put it that way. I recommend you look it up if you don't know. It's kind of intriguing. Cat food. Peacocks eat cat food? Seriously?
No way.
Do they prefer a kind? Does it depend on the bird? Peacocks eat all kinds of stuff, but mostly cat food. Huh. I guess it's like gourmet pate.
That's intriguing. I wouldn't think that. So interesting.
I guess it makes sense for... every once in a while I'll see like a video or something of people who have like a farm area. They have lots of different animals. And you just see the peacock hanging out with the cats on the porch eating food or something. Makes sense. Yep, perfect timing. I've seen owls. I've seen owls last night, but we have owls all year long. Yeah, so I guess if it's in an area where it's more unusual, then it could be a more distinct heads up. I guess. Look up owl legs. Yeah, I know. I've seen long legs underneath all that fluff. It's bizarre. Kevin coming in with the interesting trivia. Yeah, makes sense, does it not? Every once in a while, I provide a little something, and here comes Kevin.
I love that.
All right, so we don't want it to go on for entirely too long, but once again, if anybody has any questions they would like to get in before we head off, then do so now.
Yes.
No time to wait.
Yes.
No pressure. So you like Norse mythology? So do I. I am slowly but surely learning a little bit. We're working on educating ourselves just a little bit on various different things, but Norse mythology is one of the things. Yeah. Now I'm thinking about that meme of the wet owl. I know. Poor thing. And of course, the meme where there's this, I don't know what kind of owl it was, but they like lift it up a little bit, the legs stay there. Where were you hiding those?
That's so funny. I love that.
Owls are a funny little creature. You can even, I guess, if they're domesticated, teach them to fetch. Kind of goes along with the predatory hunting thing, perhaps. Yeah, so I'm trying to educate myself. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we're trying.
Oh my
I
God.
believe that my dear brother also wants to teach himself a bit about Norse mythology, perhaps, unless I'm remembering that incorrectly. I think we might have a little bit of Norse heritage somewhere in our family tree. I've mentioned before that I know on my mom's side that we are descendants of a Viking called Forkbeard. This kind of explains a lot.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. You find weird little things and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. That's
The
so
Viking captain / pirate, Scottish saint. What else? Oh, Betsy Ross. Apparently.
What?
Yeah, I found that and went, no.
What?
So, us in Washington are like this.
Oh my God.
Her and her first husband, I guess, is whom we are supposedly descendants of. The husband that blew up accidentally in a keg room of powder. And again, I'm here going, that makes sense. The more you know.
The more you know.
Look up your family tree, they said. It'll be interesting. I've been intrigued by tarot reading, so I think I'll be reading up on it. Tarot is very interesting. I'm still learning myself. That's fine. We all random here. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome to the random area.
Two very random people here.
It's a lot of different interests to be discussed, but
Yes.
aside from that, let us refocus. Any other things you would like to mention about Black Swan?
I don't think so. I think I just rewatched it today to just like prep for this. One thing I will leave you with is that it has aged very well. I think it's still very relevant, and everything looks really beautiful.
Yeah,
Still pretty crazy.
yeah.
Because like, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I like wouldn't. I feel like I would never say that like a movie from 2010 aged well, but this one did.
You know, some age like wine, some age like milk.
Very true.
But yeah, no, that's fair. I'd agree with that because I really couldn't necessarily place it. If you didn't tell me when it came out, then I couldn't really place it. I would assume that it would be fairly recent, actually, because yeah, it is still very much relevant. There's a lot of things that it talks about or brings up that are still relevant, either fortunately or unfortunately.
Yeah,
And the special effects are still pretty damn good.
for sure.
Yeah,
They're
and
really
I
good.
think that might be because there is a mix of the practical and the CGI. It's not just one or the other.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
I did learn that Aronofsky does have a lot of appreciation for the practical, so I appreciate this.
What? We love that.
Yes.
More points for Aronofsky for me.
Yes, well done, Tom. I'm sure somewhere out there, Tom Savini and Rick Baker are going,
right.
all right. So, with that, as we are wrapping up a little bit here, plug. Go ahead. Plug yourself. What do you have coming up? What have you recently done?
Oh my gosh. What do I have coming up? So what I have coming up on the channel is lots of reviews. I have a Renfield review coming soon, and in June we will be doing our table screams. We took a little bit of a break there, and now we're back. We're doing a live reading of Tusk.
Ooh.
So join us for that. More body horror and animals and things. That's going to be really fun. If you don't know what Table Screams is, it's a segment I do on my channel where I get a bunch of my friends and we do a table read of a horror movie script and we act it out. Sometimes we have like a little drinking game. It's lots of fun. Dice was on one of them.
Doing my hillbilly best.
Yes. Dice laid in Cabin Fever.
We try. Yes, that, as I believe I had mentioned after that, was my acting debut, darling. A little theatrical thespian.
It was great. And you had the mustache and everything.
Yep. Oh, God. Quick change in between scenes. No pressure. So, yeah. No, I highly recommend. Those are always really fun to watch. I think it is very, like, theater kid friendly kind of stuff, and I always appreciate that.
It is. I myself was and still am at heart a theater kid.
Yeah. I'm just going to say Spirit because I was homeschooled. We didn't have a theater.
Oh, that sucks.
We try to live out our dreams in other ways, you know?
Yes. Yes.
So, and I know that you kind of have your own podcast as well, don't you?
I do. This is new. We're kind of back on track now because we We're not on track there for a while.
There is no track here. Bumper cars.
My best friend and I, Melissa, who's my co-host on the podcast, we have a podcast called On the Scare with Sweet and Spooky. And we've been best friends for over 10 years. So we have lots to talk about. We have lots of memories to share. And we're both very into horror films. But usually when we talk about different horror topics, we kind of bring it back to us and how those things personally affected us or our friendship. Last week, we spoke about horror movies directed by women. We have an upcoming episode where we're going to talk about Latina lore and what it's like growing up in a Latina household. So it's going to be fun.
Very nice. I look forward to that. I don't know if I said anything in the chat, but I was like listening to the last one that you guys did on women directors.
Thank you for coming.
I was like, well, maybe I could suggest. No, someone already mentioned that. Never mind. Everybody has this completely under control. I'll just be over here. I was working on other stuff anyway, so I was just listening in the background. So
I hope it's enjoyable to listen to. I feel like it is. We have a good time.
Yeah, I think so. It's a matter of taste, of course. Just like horror movies.
Yeah, it's a chill vibe. Like,
yeah.
I kind of like just sitting in front of the computer and just talking because I feel like a lot of my videos are very like high energy, me performing, if you will.
Yeah, putting on the vibe, as it were.
Yes.
Yeah. It is a little bit different, so that's I mean, who, maybe with a few exceptions, who listens to a podcast because they want something very professional?
Right. So true.
The ones that I listen to are just the way that you phrased that with Melissa, excuse me, reminded me very much of like Good Morning Nancy. That's a podcast that I listen to, and they're two best friends.
Aww.
We talk about things too, so I'm like, yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, and the other one that I like to listen to is Horror Queers, for obvious reasons. So.
Oh, that one sounds good.
Yeah, they're fun. They're fun, and they'll have guests on, like other queer individuals or drag queens to discuss horror movies that might have queer elements.
Is that one on Spotify? I have to listen to that one. That sounds cool. I love podcasts. One of my favorite podcasts to listen to, I'll plug them. Podmortem, I love them.
Oh, yes.
I adore them. They're so great. They just riff off movies so well.
Oh, we enjoy that. Yes.
Yeah, they're great. I also listen to the Justin Long Life is Short podcast. It's fun and cute. Like, he interviews all these like other actors, and it's sweet. I love it. He's such a wholesome person.
He seems like a very nice guy.
Yeah. He's another comfort actor for me.
I kind of, I assume.
Yeah. He was also one of my first crushes and still one of my crushes to this day.
And actually, it's on the subject of Justin Long. I do have to plug this. I really do not plug merch very often, but I made something somewhat recently, as a matter of fact, directly involving Justin Long. I give full credit to the Nightwatch Zone.
Oh,
because cool. Nightwatch Zone and Craven Something Scary, they were doing a watch along of Barbarian, and I happened to get an idea because I made this comment in the chat and Night loved it. I said, "I'm white, but I'm not Justin Long in a horror movie white." So I made a shirt of that, and that's in my Teespring store if anyone cares to.
That's hilarious.
So
I think I love that. I love that.
I know there's a lot of love for Justin Long, so I was like, fuck it. See what I can make in about 20 minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
What an icon. An underrated Scream King.
Yes. He's always getting the shit, man. He doesn't make it out of things very well.
He doesn't. Poor soul.
Give us a horror movie where Justin Long lives, but for good reason.
Yeah.
How about that?
We want that.
Well, technically, I guess I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen it, but I guess technically in Tusk,
Right. Oh, that's true.
I mean, I guess lives is a loose term, but
For sure. Kind of just existing.
yes, he there. He's there.
Rough.
Right. So before we end anything, I shall catch up on the chat. And wow, Tusk. It's a
It's gonna be
ride.
so much fun. We got a walrus onesie and everything. My partner Rocco, who I think resembles Justin Long a little bit, is playing this role. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really funny.
I was about to say, if anybody's gonna be playing Justin Long's character, Rocco, right? Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. There you go. Nanette's a new subscriber.
Thank you so much. Welcome to my spooky little family.
Yeah, you'll be entertained. I think it's quite fun, the content
Thank
that you
you.
receive.
Thank you.
Didn't like Toast? That's fair. It's once again, it's one of those acquired taste kind of
For
movies.
sure. It's
not
a
for
jarring
everybody.
movie. Yeah.
That's one that I watched when I was starting to get into horror, and I was like, wow, okay, that was fun. In drama in high school, fun times. I've heard a lot of very fun stories. So never got that chance, but I've heard good things. So the track will find the rails eventually. That's one way to put it. Yeah. Like I said, it's just bumper cars over here. Everywhere else, I don't know. Might be tracks, might not. Have to check out your podcast. I do once again recommend. Yes,
Please do.
This one is just getting started, but you've been doing on Scare for a while. Or on Scare for a while.
I have. Initially, it was something that I used to do. I used to invite my top tier patrons, and then we kind of revamped it because it was like lots of patrons and like lots of things to juggle.
Yeah.
So now it's just Melissa and I, and we've kind of made it a little different. Before it was kind of just like trying to figure out like specific like horror movie topics, and now it's a little more open. Melissa and I can make it more personal. So
Yeah. Always a good thing, I think.
For sure.
Sounds interesting, but I can't help but feel that a drag queen's talents are kind of wasted on a podcast. I mean, on the bright side, they do get to exercise their comedy. At least
Very
there's that.
true.
But I understand. I understand what you're talking about. It's still fun. I enjoy their podcast with that. It's not just drag queens, of course, but a lot of drag queens, like Peaches Christ was on at least one episode.
Oh,
I believe.
Cool. They were
Forget
just
which one.
on the Chainsaw Awards.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was fun. Hey, Black Phone 1! Fucking A!
That, I was not expecting that.
No,
I was shocked by that.
I was like, it's gonna be X or Pearl, isn't it? And they say Black Phone, I'm like, fucking A!
I thought it was going to be Barbarian. I was like,
that, yeah.
what? I was so confused.
I mean, I voted for Black Phone, but
I'm not mad about it. I liked Black Phone, but
it is. I'm probably biased for reasons that I've already previously mentioned, but you know. Thank you. I just happened to think of that idea and said, let me make a t-shirt. Fuck it. And showed Knight, and Knight's like, you made that? Mm-hmm. About 20 so minutes? Funny. Yep. We got Photoshop and the will. Can he not play a douche? This too. Thank you. Yes. Apparently he's very good at playing a douchebag. But what happens if he doesn't?
So what happens true.
I mean, hey, touche. Some of the people who play the worst characters are some of the nicest people. So, hey.
That's very true.
It's a thing. Yeah. I like Justin Long in Jeepers Creepers. I just don't like what happened to him in the movie. That's fair. I like obvious things aside. I like the first Jeepers Creepers more than the second one, but I think that's primarily because of Justin Long's character. So,
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he briefly appears in the second one, but
Oof.
anyway. Now, as far as on this channel, what's coming up, what's happening, yada, 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 we got really excited with the concept of this podcast. So that's why it's primarily been all this. I don't think anybody's complaining. Thank you. But this is going to be the last horror of mental health episode for a good while, simply because I've got it figured that episodes on Spotify will come out on the last Tuesday of each month, and with this we have 3 months worth. So, whoops. But I want to do other things with the podcast. All the same idea of like doing a live stream and then converting it to podcast format. It'll just be more typical horror movie oriented kind of episodes, perhaps just talking about a movie of my guest or guests choosing. The mental health episodes will continue. Just give it a little bit of a break now. So we gotta let Spotify catch up. Patrons of my Patreon get early and exclusive access to high quality edited versions before they go out on Spotify, just so everybody knows, as well as many other things, exclusive and early access. I am finishing up one of the first exclusive reviews for patrons, which would be the first 2 episodes of Tales from the Crypt, as voted by you guys. So look forward to that. Those maybe eventually will be coming out onto the channel for everyone else, but for now, they'll be exclusive. So, aside from that, what else? What's happening? Let's try to remember. I have been invited onto Craven Something Scary this coming month because, shockingly, during one... Did we freeze? We froze.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Anyway. Craven Something Scary. He was doing a watch along. I was in the audience for that, and he was asking for people to give suggestions on what kind of watch alongs to do in the future. I threw Phantom of the Paradise out there, of course, and shockingly, with the random wheel spinner thingy, it picked that. So he's also invited me to be on the panel when he does that in June. When that happens, I'll let everybody know. So naturally, I have to be there.
Yeah,
it's kind of a rule, you know. He's going in blind, and lots of the people on his channel have never heard of this movie and never seen it, so it'll be fun. Y'all waiting for some fabulous stuff. Here we go. Aside from that, I'll be letting everybody know more reviews of the Howling franchise coming. That being Howling 3, The Marsupials, and Howling 4, The Original Nightmare. See what happens after that. I want to do some LGBTQ-oriented things for June, as per the usual. So keep an eye out for all that. Anyway. Oh, less comments. But yes, lots of fun things. Lots of fun stuff. Remember that, and I'm curious about this movie. Which one was it? I forget. Which one was I talking about? Or that one of us was talking about? Please clarify. Thank you.
Phantom of the Paradise?
Maybe? Possibly. Love Tales from the Crypt, so I'm going to become a patron so I can hear it sooner, as soon as I get money. I appreciate that very much. I'm trying to make it more enjoyable for patrons. I've been slacking. I apologize for that. So
it's tough.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
I just want to make sure it's worth everybody's while. Is the idea. So I appreciate all the support, regardless. So, oh, the Phantom one. Yes. Okay. Good. So, depending on how Craven does it, it might be a members only kind of thing. I'm really not sure. But if you are able, then it should be fun. Regardless, I do recommend you watch it. however it turns out. And maybe at some point on my channel, I haven't done this, and I don't know why. Maybe at some point I'll do a watch along. Who knows? So it's a fun thing, I think. Brian De Palma, kind of Rocky Horror Picture-esque. With that, I believe it is time to shuffle off. So I thank everybody in the chat for participating. Bless you. Always appreciate that. Oh, it is members only. Well, that's all right. That's what he does. It's what he wants to do. So it's his channel.
Oh, they're a member.
And you are a member. Well, fucking hey, then you will be perfectly set up. Bless you. I can't keep track, so forgive me. Anyway, thank you all for being here. I do appreciate it. I appreciate your comments, your interactivity. Look for this episode on Spotify. The first episode, which was with Ken and Ashley Sledge talking about Come Play, is going to be live on Spotify on the 30th of this month. And I'll be advertising that. So Cody's episode on Christine will be, let's look at the calendar, June the 27th. This episode, ideally, shall be July 25th, which is my brother's birthday, no less. So there you go. That's when you can look for it on Spotify. And as I said, patrons get earlier access, hopefully maybe about a month early. We'll see. And exclusive HD and all that. So, excellent size. It shall be fun. And I also want to thank, of course, my esteemed guest, Selis, Sweet and Spooky. Do please, all links are in the description as well as in the chat. Do please check out her channel if you are unfamiliar. Do subscribe, check out the content. It's always helpful and appreciative, of course.
Yes, thank you.
And lastly, live, I do want to say thank you to everybody for 3,000 subscribers.
Yes, congrats.
And here's to thousands more. No.
Yes.
We'll be getting there, fam. We getting there. Like I said, we're getting closer to the monetization, if YouTube gods allow. So, bless. Thank you. I'm glad you had fun. I hope the same is for my guest.
Yes, I did. I'm so glad I could talk about Black Swan. I haven't done a review of this film or anything. So it's really fun. I could talk about it. I talked about it like in list videos and things, but not like in depth. So this was great for me. Also, like a healing experience.
Yes. Therapeutic. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. That's what it is all about. So, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. I will update on when the next episode of this will be on the channel and whatnot. Like I said, other different, not necessarily mental health oriented episodes, most likely. We'll be figuring that out. I'm wanting to do live streams more often, so this is one way to do so. And with that, remember, if you feel something oozing out of your headphones, don't worry. It's just your brain. Don't be afraid.